Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 9. Mission to Wave. Time skip 4 weeks and a metric fuckton of D ranks later. So you think you're ready for a C rank mission, do you? The third mused as he stared at the irritated faces of Team 7. Surprisingly, Naruto was fairly calm about the whole situation. Apparently he didn't mind D ranks that much since his clones take care of most of the work. The third had noticed this while checking on Naruto through his crystal ball, to the stunned surprise of the aged Kage. That, and Sarutobi knew the kid must be loaded right now. He'd already done well over 150 D ranks that month, 5-6 per day, and at roughly 5,000 Ryo per mission the kid was more than well off. Roughly 50 United States dollars per mission, 250-300 United States dollars per day, or between 7.5k and 9,000 United States dollars in all. Yes sir, I believe my team has earned a chance at taking on a C rank. You could tell Kakashi was sucking up to Sarutobi, hell even Sakura could tell, and that's saying something. The third sighed, well, seeing that your team has enough missions between the three of them to constitute a C rank, I don't see why they couldn't take one. He lit his pipe and took a nice long drag. I thank you, Hokage-sama. Kakashi let out a little bow. Very well, I have just the mission for your team today. He turned to a Chunin by the door. Send in the client please. The Chunin nodded and walked out. A few minutes later an old man wobbled in. You could tell he was drunk by the smell that followed him, not to mention the open bottle of sake in his hand. Wah, these bunch of brats are gonna be guarding me. The old man slurred. Yes, Team 7 will be escorting Tazuna the bridge builder here to the land of waves where his next bridge is to be built, and will stay for the duration to protect him and his bridge from any bandits or highwaymen that may interfere with that. Kakashi turned to the Tazuna. Don't worry sir, these three may be genin, but I am a jonin rank ninja and their teacher, so you don't need to fear any bandits while we're with you. Kakashi eyes smiled at him. Yeah, whatever. He turned back to leave the room. Meet us at the gate in 1 hour. Kakashi called out. The only response was a wave of a hand. He turned to the genin present. All right, you heard. Go pack your things and be at the gate in 1 hour. All right, finally a decent mission, no more of the crap work for a while. Naruto was nearly jumping for joy at the prospect of leaving the village on his first real mission, even if it was to protect some old goat of a bridge builder. It was a start, and that's all that mattered. You know Hinata's going to jump you when you get back, right? The fox chuckled. I swear that girl has become so attached to you, I'm surprised she hasn't fused with your tail with how much she grabs onto the damn thing. Ugh, don't remind me. I know I only really showed the thing off once in class when I first started, but seriously, did she have to pull an anko on my tail? Actually, I'd be more afraid of what her father is going to do to your tail. Naruto let out an unconscious shiver. Don't remind me. Generic flashback of doom, 3 weeks ago. Hinata-chan. Naruto started. The two were sitting comfortably in the Tower of Death, after Anko's little season. With Hinata, the young Hyuga had taken a liking to the place, if only to be around the snake mistress more. That and become a symbiotic life form with her ever-present center of the universe, Naruto. Or more accurately, the tail he just so happened to show her not a few minutes ago. Said girl proceeded to wrap her body around said appendage and then started to snuggle the furry thing. Hinata didn't really give a shit at that point, but it was starting to freak Naruto out. Yes, Naruto-kun, Hinata replied sweetly, his tail wrapped firmly around the girl. So are you still going to marry me and everything? I know it's been a week and we've gone on a few dates and all, but does everything feel right to you? The Hyuga girl nodded. Yes, Naruto-kun, I haven't felt happier in my life. I see you're not stuttering anymore. What happened? The blonde looked curiously at the girl. For her to stop stuttering meant she overcame the confidence issues she had told him about on their first date, but how the hell did she do it so fast? Anko's aggressive therapy helped. She smiled again, but there was a tint of red this time. Ah, that's why. A large sweat drop was starting to form on Naruto's head. Wait, I forgot to ask. How has your dad taken to us dating in our planned marriage? The girl's face fell. Oh, that's not good. I haven't told him yet, she replied sadly. he knows I'm dating you but the marriage is still hidden from him. Don't worry Hinata-chan. He wrapped the girl into a big hug which got the desired eep he was looking for. No matter what therapy Anko used, Hinata was still Hinata. We'll burn that bridge when we cross it. If it helps any, I'll try and get him alone and have a nice father-son chat. Really? She sounded hopeful. For you Hinata-chan, anything. He gave her a warm smile which made the girl snuggle her fuzzy boa, aka Naruto's tail, even harder, causing some discomfort for our hero. End flashback. Naruto shivered again as a phantom pain ran up his tail. Yeah, I'll talk to her dad when I get back from this mission. Oh you poor bastard. Thanks for the vote of confidence. She giggled like a schoolgirl. You're welcome. Quote. At the gate. He's late, Sakura growled. And you're surprised by that how? Naruto asked staring down at a pair of cards. Hit me, he barked at Sasuke who dealt him another card. That's 21. Damn Dobie. Remind me to take you to a casino to clear the place out. How many wins is that now? 42. He replied blankly. Sasuke's face scrunched up in thought. Quote. I suddenly got a feeling that the universe is fucking with us. Welcome to my world. You'll like it here, we have cookies. Naruto replied maniacally. Make it tomatoes and you got a deal. Sasuke barked with conviction, pumping his fist in the air. Smack, smack, you two are hopeless. Sakura huffed, as the two rubbed the lumps on their heads. Ah, you're just jealous that Sasuke's hanging out with me a lot more than you. Naruto got a sly look to his face. Or is it you think something's going on between us, Yaoi Saku-chan? Smack. In your dreams, Baka. The lump on Naruto's head now had a smaller one on top of it. Naruto could only chuckle though, seeing as Sakura barely put any power behind that one or the one before for that matter. Over the past month Team 7 had bonded surprisingly well. Sasuke seemed mellower and friendlier, though that was probably from Naruto showing Sasuke how to use his lightning element, nothing like a sense of accomplishment to bring people together after all. However, when Naruto had shown him how to use the taser, a gleam that looked eerily similar to his when he pulled pranks was visible in the Uchiha's eye and that sent chills down the blonde maverick's spine. Whether they were good or bad chills had yet to be established. As for Sakura, the girl took to her water element like, well, a fish to water. It only took an abnormally large amount of partial drownings to get the girl into tip-top shape with her element. She couldn't do anything big with her reserves as small as they were, but what she lacked in power she more than made up in control. Naruto chuckled evilly. It's funny, she took the Teppadama knockoff I showed her, and refined it down to insane degrees. Now it's almost as effective as a regular Teppadama. She doesn't even need seals either, just gather chakra and bam. It is impressive, they took to their elements better than you did. Kyuubi piped in. Well duh, they had me teaching them while I had to find out everything they now know on my own, so it took me a bit longer. It's a good thing we were able to get her to learn some medical jutsu as well. Yeah, he snorted silently. Even if she's coming along nicely with water, we definitely need a medic. I know I'm a badass motherfucker and all, but even I get hurt. It's definitely a good idea. Wonder why no one's thought of it before. Meanwhile, as some base Backwards City in Fire Country, a blonde-haired woman sitting at a slot machine sneezed violently, causing the machine to hit trip sevens. Someone must be talking bad about me, the woman mused as she scooped her winnings into a bucket. Back with our hero, we find him winning another hand, this time at poker. Damn it, the Uchiha grumbled. Seriously dude, we need to market you as a good luck charm. What does that make it now? 69 wins. Quote. I'm getting that feeling that the universe is fucking with us again. Don't worry, you get used to it. Naruto waved off his concern. Now deal the cards. After another 10 minutes of Naruto winning hands, Kakashi finally decided to grace them with his presence. Yo, glad to see you're all here. Naruto turned an interested look at the cycloptic Jonin. What's the excuse this time, huh? Kakashi shrugged. I got jumped by some woman on the way here. She had her way with me in an academy broom closet, and when she was finished she wanted to snuggle. Who was I to deny her? Both Naruto and Sasuke dropped their cards. Sakura dropped her jaw. Tazuna, who just so happened to be just as late as Kakashi due to him having a hangover, dropped his sake bottle, which he promptly caught before it hit the ground. No sense in wasting good booze. Naruto's laughter filled the air. Okay, if that's a lie, I'll give you a 10 for originality. Kakashi's eyes smiled. If it's the truth, then hot damn, ha 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 ha. Well, I'll be happy to admit that you three will never know, the Jonin purred out, creeping out all of those present. Not that I'd want to know what your sex life is like. Naruto remarked blandly. Oh, and what would you know about a sex life, Mr. Virgin? Kakashi raised an eyebrow, hoping to get a rise out of the youth. Sadly, Naruto just gave him a blank look. He also raised an eyebrow, which made Kakashi sweat a little when he remembered that Sarutobi said the boy was married to Anko. All he'd have to do was ask the kinky woman to do anything and she'd most likely try it. Okay then, moving on. Kakashi wisely dodged that bullet. Are all of you packed? He glanced between his three students, his gaze finally landing on Naruto, who didn't have a pack on. Naruto, where is your pack? In response, Naruto pulled a scroll out of his back pocket. Sealed up tight in this scroll, sensei. He flipped the scroll once before pocketing it. You know how to make storage scrolls? Kakashi sounded surprised and genuinely interested. Yeah, I've dabbled in the sealing arts here and there. I like making my own things, and making my own exploding tags and storage scrolls makes my life a lot easier. He grinned, hoping Kakashi would drop the subject. Alright Naruto, just don't try to learn anything that is out of your range. I don't want you accidentally ripping a part of you soul out or blowing up half of Konoha. Just be extremely careful in what you do. One wrong line can destroy a lot more than it can create. Yeah, sensei. I take every precaution when I'm practicing seals. I even use shadow clones to do the seal so I don't get caught up in anything if something goes wrong. Good. I smiled. Now let's get going. He turned away from Naruto, not catching the slight sigh of relief Naruto let out. He didn't need to know how much he knew about seals, or the real reason why he was studying them. Hey Kakashi-sensei, how long till we get to Wave Country anyway? Naruto asked as they walked down the road leading away from the village, the trees around them blowing in the wind. Well, Kakashi looked at the position of the sun. Going at this pace we should get there by this time tomorrow. Naruto nodded and they continued walking in a comfortable silence. Kakashi stared at the pages of his Ika book when he noticed a small puddle of water along the roadside, in the middle of a sunny day when it hadn't rained for weeks. That's not suspicious or anything, by the feel of it. To mid-chunin, let's see how much they've improved. He chuckled mentally and turned back to his book, silently readying a kawarimi since he was at the back of the group, thus the first target. Sure enough, two men rose from the puddle. In complete silence the two brothers Gozu and Maizu charged. In mere moments they had Kakashi wrapped up in the shuriken chain connected to their gauntlets. One down. Gozu growled, yanking the chain, and in a fountain of blood and gore bits of what was left of Kakashi hit the ground in a wet puddle. Four more. Maizu growled back. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura cried. Naruto mentally scoffed. Come on Sakura, he isn't dead. Even an idiot could tell those two were there, and if I noticed him, Kakashi sure as hell did. He didn't have time to tell the girl that as Gozu was getting too close for comfort. Flipping through a couple hand seals he slapped a hand on the ground. Earth release. Earth flow spears, he yelled, as several spikes rushed up from the ground pinning the chain that connected the brothers with lances of stone. The two were jerked off their feet as the chain snapped taut, slamming them to the ground in a heap. Cut it, Maizu grunted, as the two released the chain from their gauntlets. I got the bridge builder. He got to his feet and rushed forward, clawed gauntlet leading. Naruto jumped in front of the nin and pulled his ninjutsu out, blocking the slash that would have taken Tezuna's face off. Tezuna backed up and Sakura got in front of him with a kunai ready while the blade of Naruto's sword got caught between the metal fingers of Maizu's gauntlet, causing several sparks to fly. Not bad, brat. Maizu chuckled as he grabbed hold of Naruto's blade and yanked the weapon out of his hands, but not good enough. He threw the blade away and took another slash at the blonde, who ducked aside and leapt away from him, flashing a single hand seal as the demon brother chased after him. Earth release. Earth flow river. He tucked into a roll as he struck the ground. A pool of slick mud formed right behind him which the charging man couldn't avoid. As Maizu slid through the brown goo he fell back, not having any traction in the soft mud. Naruto quickly got back to his feet, going through a few more seals as he clapped his hands together. Would release. Root binding. Out of the ground hundreds of thin roots latched onto Maizu's body, pinning him, particularly his gauntlet arm, keeping it away from the rest of his body so he wouldn't have a chase to cut himself free. Walking over to his captive, he gave a swift kick to Maizu's head, knocking a few brain cells loose and keeping him from retaliating. Meanwhile, in a tree overlooking the battle, we find a shocked Kakashi. He can use Mokuden as well. Interesting. Maybe I should get him and Tenzo together. That would be an interesting meeting. Kakashi knew that Maizu was out of the fight, so he turned his attention to Sasuke. Stop dodging, you brat! Gozu yelled angrily, as each of his swipes with the clawed gauntlet flew harmlessly wide, a smirking Uchiha dodging each attack. Not a chance, bonehead. He got within Gozu's guard and a loud buzzing noise was heard. Gozu looked down and noticed a small bit of chakra on the boy's pinky and thumb. What the hell is th? His question was cut off as the digits made contact and a harsh jolt of electricity surged through his body, causing a total loss of muscle control. He slumped bonelessly to the ground, gurgling out obscenities at the Uchiha brat. I have got to thank Naruto for that. That was awesome. A rare grin crossed Sasuke's features, marveling at what his new toy could do. He tied up Gozu and walked over to Naruto, who was looking through Maizu's equipment, to the ire of the man in question, who was throwing every curse he knew at the wood-manipulating bastard, as he put it. Everybody all right? He asked as he glanced over at Sakura, who was still guarding Tazuna. Sakura nodded. Yeah, but what about Kakashi-sensei? Yo, Kakashi hailed, appearing behind them in a puff of smoke. Is an asshole. Naruto. Finished for her. Kakashi's sweat dropped, coughing to cover it. Good job, team. Now that those two are taken care of, he turned a pointed look at Tazuna, who looked nervous. Just what haven't you told us, Tazuna-san? And don't try to lie, I heard those two. He pierced the man with a heavy glare. They were after you and you alone. Tazuna looked between the four-leaf ninja for a moment before sighing. The country I come from, Wave Country, is under the tyrannical hold of a businessman named Gato. Kakashi cut in at this point. Wait, Gato. Of Gato Shipping and Transport, that Gato. Kakashi was a bit bug-eyed at the prospect. Gato was one of the richest people in the world and from the rumors a pretty vicious person to deal with. Tazuna scoffed. Yeah, that's him, the little troll. The bastard may look like a legitimate businessman, but on the inside he's a cruel criminal and dictator that controls what he has through force and money. He has a chokehold on my entire country, bleeding us dry of all of our hard-earned money, leaving us with little but poverty. He sighed. This bridge I'm building is going to connect us to the mainland and break Gato's hold over our country. He knows this and will stop at nothing to kill me. He turned a pleading eye at Kakashi. Please, I know I lied, but you can't leave me or my country to this fate. I know I can't pay for it now, but as soon as our country is liberated we can easily make the money to pay for this. We'll even pay double or triple the amount. Just, please, all we want is to be free from this accursed bastard. Kakashi stared at the pleading look on Tazuna's face, thinking about what to do. Finally he nodded to himself and turned to his genin. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. This descent is up to you. Do we stay with the mission or go back to the village? Naruto chuckled. If all Gato's got is the likes of these two-bit thugs. He accented that little quip with a kick to Maizu's ribs, getting a grunt and a curse from him. Then we ain't got nothing to worry about. Sasuke nodded his agreement and Sakura reluctantly agreed as well. Speaking of, Sasuke interrupted, what do we do with these two idiots? Kakashi sighed. Well, seeing as you three have agreed to continue, we'll just leave them tied up here. I'll send a message back to the village to come pick them up. Won't they just get loose if we tie them up? Sakura asked. Naruto pumped his fist. Leave that to me, ha ha ha. Naruto chuckled evilly, pulling out a brush and ink bottle from his pouch. The two mist nin struggled against their bindings but to no avail. Naruto approached Gozu and opened his ink pot. With a slight dip and flourish he began inscribing the ink into his forehead. It was dance to those watching, a quick flick here, a thick curve there, ending in a somewhat elaborate pattern in the center of the mon's forehead. Once done, Naruto channeled chakra into the seal to set it. With a jolt Gozu hit the ground unconscious, the seal setting into a small swirl pattern inside a circle. He repeated the process with Maizu, who was screaming out for his brother. that is until Naruto had his roots bind his mouth and head. He finished and completed the seal on Mizu's head before storing the rest of his supplies away, the other man like his brother before him sent into sweet unconsciousness. What the hell was that? Sasuke raised an eyebrow at the blonde. That Sasuke was a containment seal, Kakashi explained. It's a seal used by our T&I department to handle dangerous prisoners. The seal drains a captive's chakra and puts them in a stasis, kind of like a coma that can only be broken by those who know how to undo the seal. It's mostly used for transports nowadays. He turned to Naruto. Let me guess, Enko. Naruto nodded. Very well. Tie them to that tree over there and let's keep going. The three genin nodded and did as told. A few minutes later they were back on the road, but this time they were in a diamond formation with Tazuna at its center. A few hours later they reached the shores of Fire Country. A small boat was docked with a single man at the oars. Tazuna. The man greeted them. Thanks again for this. Tazuna bowed to the oarsman. No problem. Just hurry up. I want to get there as quickly and quietly as possible. Right. Tazuna nodded. Him and Team 7 boarded the boat and the oarsman started the engine, setting off at a decent pace. An hour into the trip Sasuke turned to Naruto. Hey Naruto. Yeah Sasuke. I was wondering, how the hell do you know so many bloodline jutsu? As far as I know, you're an orphan, and I haven't heard of any Uzumaki clans that have a bloodline. That's where you're wrong Sasuke. Kakashi broke in. The Uzumaki clan was renowned for its mastery of Fuinjutsu. The seals they made were on par in not surpassing the skills of the fourth Hokage himself. He took a moment to let that sink in. But that in itself is not a bloodline, it's simply bred in skills. As for Naruto, his family's bloodline is Hyoten, Ice Release. Although it was rare even for the Uzumaki as they were a distant relative to the now extinct Yuki clan who were masters of Hyoten that ran strong in that tiny clan, however. Due to a civil war being raged in the land of water where the Uzumaki were originally from, the Yuki clan were entirely wiped out. That civil war has been raging for close to 2 decades now between the Mizukage's forces and a rebel faction of bloodline users. You see, the Mizukage has been systematically destroying any and all bloodline user clans. Shock registered between everyone on the boat, except the rower. He didn't give a shit. But sensei, why would the Mizukage do that? Sakura asked. I don't honestly know, but from the few reports we get from Water Country, bloodline users are hunted down and slaughtered on sight there. It's not a pleasant place to be. Sasuke looked disgusted. In Konoha he was loved for his bloodline, practically worshipped. He couldn't wrap his head around being hated for that very same bloodline, being hunted down like a dog and killed for something he had no control over. The very thought sickened him. Well, that answers my question about his ice bloodline, but how in the hell is he able to use lava and wood release? And for that matter, how is he able to use jutsu for those bloodlines when we don't have any Yoden or Mokuden users in the village? Kakashi was about to say something when Naruto interrupted him. It's all right sensei, I got this. Sasuke, the reason I can use multiple bloodlines is because of an accident I had when I was younger. You remember that explosion that woke everyone up a few nights before the Uchiha clan massacre? A slight bit of disgust crossed his face at the mention of the massacre, but he nodded anyway, remembering the event despite the tragedy that happened less than a week later. That explosion was me. The shocked looks. My ice bloodline activated that night and mixed in all the wrong ways with my fox bloodline. As a result, the explosion destroyed my chakra network, but due to my fox bloodline again I was able to make it back just barely from that. However, something happened to my body. Naruto looked down at his hand, clenching and unclenching it as a few phantom pains went through it. I found out later that what happened to me is called elemental convergence. The short explanation is when my chakra network was destroyed it became neutral. When my elementally neutral chakra network was repaired it sucked in any nearby elements and abilities. I just so happened to land in the forest of death from that explosion. When the convergence started it pretty much turned me into a human vacuum cleaner for anything nearby. Naruto rubbed the bridge of his nose absently, glancing around his hand his 2 other teammates. It just so happened that the Forest of Death is an elementally unstable area and I drew in all 5 major elements to such a degree that I'm a damn Rikudo Senin knockoff now, and due to that I can use all 5 major elements to an almost stupid degree of skill. He drew a deep breath before continuing. As for using bloodline elements, well, Due to my affinities I can mimic quite a few of them, however ice and for some reason wood are actual bloodlines. The ice was mine originally, and I'm guessing that since I was in a forest at the time, I drew in enough of the wood element for it to become a part of me. However, I am told that the ability to use bloodline elements the way I do is, in and of itself, a bloodline that can be passed down. He smiled, seeing the two other genin on his team paying close attention while Kakashi was looking at him with a calculating gaze. Naruto ignored that and continued. Sure, my children may not have the affinities to all the major elements like I do, but any two elements that they may have can be used to power a bloodline. For example, say I have a child that has a fire and earth affinity. Even if he doesn't have the lava bloodline, my elemental mimicry bloodline would allow him to use it. Again, with the shocked looks, you'd think their mouths would hurt after a while with them sitting on the floor like that. True, the bloodline that goes with most of those elements aren't my own, but a copy can be just as deadly as an original. You'd know that, right, Sasuke? He grinned a little at the Uchiha, who knew damn well what he meant. And who's to say? Several of the doctors that looked me over said that even though I don't have those elements as a bloodline now, I could theoretically develop them into one, that or my children could, due to the mimicry bloodline affecting their DNA, so the possibilities for a family of elemental masters is highly possible. He let out a chuckle. Hell, I get more shit from the councils to marry people than you do, Sasuke. The last Uchiha deadpanned. The council pushed for him to marry someone at least once every couple weeks. He could only imagine the annoyance the council provided when they pushed for that even more. You still haven't told us how you know specific jutsu from those elements, Sakura pointed out, trying to ignore the fact that Naruto was becoming nigh unto a god among husband material. Hell, the only thing he didn't have was wealth and land, and that could be fixed simply by the way the blonde worked. She had watched him create a veritable army of clones and take out over a dozen D ranks in one day, and that equaled out to be a rather high-paying C rank mission that would normally take a month to complete. Lord only knows if he ever started taking low C ranks that were taken around the village. He'd be filthy rich by the end of the year. She glanced over at Sasuke, who was beginning to look a little lacking. Naruto grinned at Sakura. Pretty sharp there, Sakura. It's true I haven't explained that, but I do kinda owe Sasuke's family for that one, so it's not something I brag about. What do you mean, Naruto? Sasuke asked curiously. If he was indebted to his family, that could help his training in the long run. Yes, sweet blackmail. Well, for one thing, your family has been around for a long time and their jutsu library is massive. They even include the jutsu of other bloodline users. Even though they couldn't use them themselves, they still cataloged everything so they know what they're fighting. He pointed a finger at Sasuke. When the Sandaime cleared out your library after the massacre so no one would mess with it, he kinda let me into the bloodline section to take a look at some of the D and C rank jutsu in there. On top of that, a few of the jutsu I've used I came up with on my own, just figuring out how to manipulate that element in various ways. Honestly, it's not hard coming up with new jutsu. The others on the boat looked at him like he was retarded. Here he was talking about creating new techniques like he was talking about the weather, like it was nothing. What? Only silence answered him. 20 minutes later. We're here, the boatman grunted out, having switched out the outboard motor to a oar earlier so they could sneak into wave country under cover of mist. The boat made dock next to an Abaddon building, dropping its passengers off. I can't thank you enough. Tazuna bowed to the rower, who nodded in return. Just finish that bridge, Tazuna-san, that's all the thanks I need. The man paddled the boat back out into the mist, the four on land losing track of him as he disappeared from view. We better get going, Tazuna grunted. My house isn't far from here. He made his way onto a path nearby that lead further inland. Kakashi meanwhile was tense. Those last guys were Chunin rank ninja. If we're up against Gato, then he's going to send someone much stronger, probably a Jonin level nin. Need to keep my senses open. Naruto interrupted his thoughts when he slowed down a bit to bring himself closer to Kakashi. Don't worry, Kakashi-sensei. I got my ears and nose tuned to the area around us. If someone's coming, I'll let you know. It wasn't more than a whisper, but it set Kakashi at ease, at least a little bit. They walked in silence for an hour, until Naruto twitched slightly, flicking a shuriken into the bushes to his left. What is it, Naruto? Kakashi spoke quickly. Anything that would get the boy to act like that with his heightened senses was something dangerous. Naruto was silent as he walked into the bushes and pulled out a snow hare who had nearly pissed itself in terror, a shuriken lodged in a tree only an inch above its head. Sakura and Tazuna relaxed, but Naruto was on edge. On closer inspection of the rabbit, Kakashi was too. "They're coming," was all Kakashi said, which sent everyone on edge. "What do you mean?" Sasuke asked. Naruto kept his senses honed on his surroundings. "It's summer, Sasuke. This rabbit still has its winter fur. That means it was kept inside out of sunlight. This is a pet and whoever its owner is. They're nearby." Sasuke finished. He ground his teeth and pulled out a kunai, readying himself for anything. "Well, almost anything. Get down," Naruto yelled as he grabbed Tazuna and Sakura and pulled them to the ground. Kakashi grabbed Sasuke and yanked him down as a large blade whistled overhead, slamming blade first into a tree. Nearly downing the poor plant as a man landed on the sword's handle. Well, a bunch of genin out on mission," the man chuckled darkly. Naruto looked the guy up and down. The guy wasn't wearing a shirt, so you could see he was built like a brick shithouse. The ninja wore a dark pair of pants with snow camo, arm and leg warmers, had his face covered in bandages and a kiri headband tied up on top of his head with the symbol scratched through, signifying him as a missing nin. All in all, he looked like a badass, especially standing on his sword like that, a Zanbetu if memory served. Kakashi glared at the man. "Your reputation precedes you, Zabuza Momochi, demon of the mist. And you yours, copycat Kakashi." Zabuza chuckled again. "What do you want, Zabuza?" Kakashi demanded. "Why, the bridge builder, of course." He pointed to the man in question, who was busy making himself as small as possible under the missing nin's cold glare. "Hand him over and we won't have a problem." Kakashi walked into his line of sight, taking the brunt of the killing intent being directed at the old man. "Sorry, Zabuza, but our mission is to protect Tazuna. You want him, you go through me." He laughed. "I was hoping you'd say that," as he yanked his sword out of the tree and landed on the pond nearby. "You three stay behind me and protect Tazuna in a manji formation. This man is way beyond any of you. Looks like I'll have to go all out on this one." Kakashi reached up to his headband. "Oh, using the Sharingan already? I am flattered." "Sharingan," Sasuke thought, shocked by this revelation. "Be careful, he's coming." Breaking Sasuke out of his thoughts. The three genin tensed, preparing for a fight, to the death if necessary. Chapter 10. Dance of the BFS. Zabuza jumped back and landed on a small pond and began weaving hand seals. Water release. Kurigakure no Jutsu. A mist rose up from the water and smothered the area, choking out all sight. "Be careful, you three. Zabuza is a master of silent killing. He doesn't need to see you to kill you in this mist. Be prepared for anything and keep your senses focused." "Oh ho, so you do have some experience fighting blind, Kakashi." Zabuza's voice echoed around them. 8 points. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. Which one shall I attack? A chill went up two of the three genins and Tazuna's spine. Naruto, however, had a look of amusement on his face. "So is that a question directed at us? Can we choose which one you strike?" You could almost hear the man in the mist face vault. Zabuza's voice sounded as if he couldn't believe what the genin had said. "Kakashi, is that student of yours retarded? Or did he just get dropped too many times as a baby?" Before Kakashi could answer, Naruto quipped, "Nah, I was just wondering how you'd react. And from the looks of things, you don't get many people as crazy as I am." Naruto let out a little psychotic giggle that had his teammates pale. They heard that laugh before when he was training them in their change in nature. So much pain. Chuckling was heard from the mist. "Hey, I like this kid, Kakashi. Sounds like a boy after my own heart. What's your name, kid?" Naruto's grin turned feral. "Naruto Uzumaki, prank king of Konoha and all-around badass at your service." Zabuza broke out in laughter. "Ha ha ha ha, cocky as hell. Yeah, this kid's a winner in my book. I might actually let you live after I kill all your friends, no promises though." Yeah, heard that line before, let's just do this shit." Naruto grunted since Kyuubi made that threat before, with the same result, the results being, fuck, and all. "Impatient as well, I see. Hey, very well." The three genin and one jonin tensed as the mist thickened. Naruto looked around quickly. this isn't good, I can't see a foot in front of my face. The mist was getting even thicker as he thought this, damn it, we need an out and quick. Naruto, Kakashi whispered harshly, flare your chakra, make it wind-natured. Naruto nodded and got into a horse stance, crouched with his legs spread slightly. He brought his hands into a hand seal. Slowly a circle of bright blue energy surrounded him. He forced as much chakra as he could into the pulse as the force of the chakra pushed the mist aside. Almost like a wave the mist parted, revealing Zabuza a dozen feet away with a shocked expression on his face. How the hell? He gasped. What part of all-around badass didn't you get? Naruto gasped, the strain of forcing that much chakra out draining him more than he had liked. HMPH. Well, I guess I do this the old-fashioned way. He pulled his sword over his shoulder and rushed to Zuna only to be stopped by Kakashi, who blocked his overhead slash with a kunai. No chance, Zabuza, he grunted, pushing against the heavy blade. I won't let you hurt my students or my client. Well, it's not like you have a choice, he replied, hopping back for another slice. The two clashed, trading deadly blows. A slice here, a chop there, coming closer and closer in a dance of death that mesmerized the three genin and Tazuna. Kakashi ducked a horizontal chop and rushed ahead, his Sharingan spinning wildly, watching every move Zabuza made, predicting every flinch of his muscles. The only thing keeping the swordsman of the mist from being impaled was his skill in the blade he held and the countless years of experience under his belt. He brought the Zanbeitu in close and blocked the kunai with the flat of his blade, diverting it to the side. With Kakashi's guard wide, he leaned back, his blade acting as a balance, and kicked Kakashi out onto the lake. Kakashi cursed, but it was too late as Zabuza was already on him, flashing through hand seals at incredible speeds. Water prison jutsu, he yelled. A ball of water formed around Kakashi, trapping him above the water with no possible way of breaking free. Kakashi-sensei, stay back, you three, Kakashi yelled, waving them back as best he could in the sluggishly moving water. He, it's over, Kakashi. Those brats don't stand a chance against me, and with you out of the way, this'll be almost too easy. He held up a hand in a single hand sign as his other hand was holding the water prison. Water clone jutsu. A puddle of water on land slowly started to rise, taking on Zabuza's form. Damn it, I knew he was good, but this. Kakashi was horrified. Run, you three. You can't beat him with all this water around you, and that clone of his can't stray too far from the main body. Take Tazuna and run. Looks of shock crossed their faces. They couldn't just leave their sensei behind. Naruto made their opinions vocal. Hell no, he yelled. This mission was FUBAR the moment you got trapped. We either help you now and die trying or get hunted down and killed anyway. At least this way there's a chance. Now shut up and hang on. We'll have you out of there in a moment. Zabuza snickered. Quite the cocky set of brats you got there, Kakashi. I do like the blondie though. Kakashi's Sharingan was keyed on the standoff. Silently, he was praying for his students' safety. Hopefully Naruto has a plan for this. Knowing his bloodline abilities, he could pull it off. But Zabuza has over a decade of training over them all. His eye flashed over the three of them. Please be careful. Sasuke, Naruto whispered. Yeah, Naruto. He replied back in a whisper, the two moving closer so as not to draw attention. I got a plan and I need your help. Sasuke nodded and leaned in closer. Naruto started whispering in his ear. For a moment shock crossed his face, then a grin began to form, slowly growing. You were one crazy son of a bitch, you know that. Tell me something I don't know. Naruto joked. My mom was bisexual. Sasuke not so joked. Didn't want to know that. You asked. He deadpanned. Naruto facepalmed, and the collective IQ of the world dropped with that statement. Whatever, let's just get this over with. He pulled his ninjutsu off his back and glared daggers at the Zabuza clone. Remember the plan, Sasuke. Don't worry, we got this, he replied. Bring out a kunai. The two shot forward, weaving between each other, trying to throw the Zabuza clone off. Naruto slashed at Zabuza's legs, who brought his Zanbeitu down to block the debilitating strike. Naruto smirked and held up a hand in a single hand seal. A dozen Narutos appeared around Zabuza and tried to strike with their shadow ninjutsus, but Zabuza jumped back and swung his sword in a wide arc, cutting through the clones like smoke. Now Sasuke, Naruto yelled, bracing himself on the ground. Right. He growled back, placing a foot on Naruto's back as he leapt high into the air, tossing several shuriken to keep Zabuza on his toes. The last Uchiha fell at the missing nin with both hands charged with a taser. The water clone brought its sword up to block with the flat of the blade. Sasuke could only smirk as both his hands touched the blade. A violent arc of electricity coursed down the blade to the clone's arm. The twin tasers shocked the water clone from head to foot, causing it to burst into a puddle of water. Zabuza chuckled from his position next to Kakashi. Those kids aren't half bad. That one already has a decent grasp at elemental jutsu. You have no idea, Kakashi mumbled, which earned him an odd look from Zabuza. All right Sasuke, phase 2 go. Naruto rushed to the water's edge, flashing through hand signs as he gathered a massive amount of chakra. He slammed his palms onto the edge of the water and shouted, "Ice release, frozen wave." Zabuza's eyes flew wide. Ice release. He gasped, too shocked to even notice that Naruto had flash frozen the lake's surface and Zabuza's feet to the ice. Meanwhile, in a nearby tree hidden from view and watching the battle, a young voice gasped as well, "But that's my..." The voice couldn't say any more. It only watched the fight with much more interest, keeping a closer eye on the blonde boy. Back with the battle, Zabuza was cursing. Looking down, he saw his feet were firmly frozen to the ice. He turned his eyes back to the genin only to see Sasuke throwing several kunai at him. Most of them wouldn't have been much danger to him, but one in particular was heading right for his face. With another curse, he yanked away from the kunai, dodging all of them, but in doing so released the water prison jutsu. With a quick swing of his sword, he had broken away from the ice and jumped back from the two children and the newly freed Kakashi, who was hacking up a mouthful of water. So Blondie has Hyoden as well. That kid just got a lot more interesting. Zabuza flicked a few more chunks of ice off his foot and got into a ready battle position with his blade down and to his side. Kakashi spat up the water and got to his feet. "You, won't lay a hand, on Naruto, Zabuza." He wiped water from his mask and pulled another kunai out. "You three have done enough, stay back and protect Tazuna." "But Kakashi-sensei," Sakura began. "No buts," Kakashi growled. He turned a glare on the demon of the mist. "That same trick won't work on me twice, Zabuza." The man in question only raised an eyebrow, which looked kind of funny with his lack of eyebrows and all. "Big talk for a waterlogged scarecrow, come get some then." He egged Kakashi on. In a flash the two were crossing blades again. This time Kakashi seemed to be on even footing, as most of the water Zabuza used for his water jutsu was frozen underfoot. Zabuza noticed this. So an even battle Fine by me. He pushed forward on the back of the blade and forced Kakashi back. "Kakashi-sensei," Naruto yelled. The Jonin glanced to the side for a split second to catch Naruto's ninjutsu. He nodded his quick thanks and brought the sword to bear just in time to catch a downward cut from Zabuza's zanbeitu. With a crunch, the ice below Kakashi buckled but held under the pressure of the clashing blades. "Give it up, Kakashi. In a battle of swordsmanship you can't beat a swordsman of the mist." Zabuza growled, kicking the Jonin away and holding his zanbeitu up to point at Kakashi. "That may be, Zabuza, but I'm not just using a sword." Kakashi flipped through several hand seals with the sword still in hand and gripped his right wrist. The air around Kakashi slowly started to glow as a harsh crackling sound filled the air. "What the hell is that?" Zabuza asked, eyes wide at the sight. "Reikiri, my own original jutsu," Kakashi growled, the lightning element chakra forming a circle of energy around him. "And your death." Zabuza went into a deep kenjutsu stance, both hands on his blade. It was a purely defensive stance. "The hell is with his hand? You can almost see the chakra there. What an insanely powerful technique." He tensed when Kakashi rushed him. "Need to stay on my toes, one hit from that and I'm gone." Zabuza blocked the ninjutsu and spun out of the way of the Reikiri, the trailing edge of the technique, nicking him from the sheer concentrated power. "Holy shit, definitely stay away from that." And like a dance their duel resumed, Kakashi leading with the ninjutsu while he used his Reikiri to keep Zabuza on his toes, both opponents knowing he only needed one strike to finish things. Meanwhile Naruto and the others were watching the fight with awe. Naruto and Sasuke were getting a tingling in their hands. They knew that the Reikiri was just a step in magnitude above the taser in power and concentration. The two genin looked at each other and flashed a devilish grin between them, a silent agreement to try and copy the technique together. Turning back to the fight, they were shocked to see Zabuza actually putting up a decent defense. that is until Kakashi stopped leading with the ninjutsu, he switched leading hands at the last moment, shocking Zabuza, who had brought the flat of the blade up to block. The Mist Nin watched in horror as his blade was snapped off right above the incurve of the blade. Kakashi used his shock to land a slash across his shoulder, severing the muscle there and causing the not so heavy Zanbedu to the ground. Before Zabuza could get back and lose ground, a heel to his sternum sent him into a nearby tree. Not a moment later, 4 kunai lodged into each one of his limbs, temporarily crippling him, and if he didn't get medical attention, permanently. It's over, Zabuza. Kakashi laid the edge of the ninjutsu against Zabuza's jugular, his Sharingan lazily spinning, only for that eye to widen in horror as a pair of Senbon pierced the missing nin's neck, apparently killing him instantly. Zabuza's eyes bulged sickly as he slumped to the ground. Kakashi turned quickly, bringing the ninjutsu up in a reverse grip defense, but he lowered it a moment later when a short nin in a hunter mask dropped down from the trees. "Thank you for your help," the youth's voice called out, the pitch of the voice and the size of the body meaning the nin couldn't be much older than Naruto and the others. "I hope you didn't mind me taking the initiative and killing Zabuza myself. He had become quite the elusive target and I wanted the satisfaction of putting him out of his misery myself." Kakashi knelt down and placed a pair of fingers against his jugular to feel for a pulse. There wasn't one. "Really dead?" Kakashi mused. Standing up, he turned again to the Hunter Nin. "It is no problem, Hunter Nin-san." "Oh, so you know of the Kiri Hunter Nins?" You could almost see the hunter's eyebrow raised behind the mask. The figure stood a bit taller. "Yes, I am a Kiri Hunter Nin. Zabuza has been my target for quite some time. It's taken me a good 6 months to track the man down to Wave, but I can finally call this mission completed." "You have my thanks." The nin bowed and shunshin to the body. Kakashi backed away. He still kept his Sharingan out in case this was some kind of trick, but when the nin vanished with the body, he relaxed and covered the eye with his headband. He turned to his team and eyes smiled, then fell flat on his face. "Must have overused the Sharingan," he remarked dryly as his team called out his name in worry. "Don't worry, you three, I just have chakra exhaustion." "Then we better get to my home so you can rest," Tazuna offered. Everyone nodded, except Kakashi, who was finding it hard to even breath at the moment, and what a time to have an itch that he couldn't scratch. "Are you all right?" A young woman looked down at the bed-ridden Jonin. "I am fine, Tsunami-san," Kakashi said weakly. The young woman above him was a fair sight to behold to the exhausted man, and she was quite the looker too. He mentally let out a little pervy giggle as he waved the woman off. "Just give me a week's rest and I'll be back to my old self." "Yeah, we can't have you getting even more lazy than you already are," Naruto teased the Cyclops, who gave him a blank glare. "Kakashi-sensei, just who was that ninja earlier?" Sakura asked. That Sakura was a hunter nin. He turned his eye to stare at the girl. Each village has a division of hunter nin, however that particular nin was a part of Kiri's hunter forces. Kiri's hunters are infamous for their brutal and meticulous methods. Just why would they need a hunter nin anyway? That is an interesting question, Sakura. The main reason for hunters are to go out and capture or dispose of missing ninja. You see, just because you kill someone doesn't mean their secrets die with them. He held up a single shaky finger. Take my Sharingan for instance. If I were to be killed and my body taken, someone with enough time and patience could theoretically learn the secrets of the Sharingan and replicate them. It wouldn't be an exact copy, but just think for a moment. His eye hardened. A village that can give its entire shinobi population the ability to copy jutsu on the fly with no repercussion to its use. The thought sent shivers down their spines. Exactly. That is what hunter nin are for. They go out, find nuke nin, and if they can capture the nin, they'll take the secrets back with them. If not, they destroy the body on the spot. He let his hand fall, the explanation over. Meanwhile, in a secluded wooded area, the masked hunter nin was working over the body of Zabuza. Let's see. First the wrappings. The nin grabbed a pair of clippers from the tool roll laid out next to Zabuza. The hunter was about to cut the bandages off Zabuza's face when a hand reached out and gripped the offending limb tightly. That's enough, Haku. I can handle this part. He gasped out. Oh, awake are you? I'm surprised. Normally you'd still be out for another hour. The newly named Haku joked. Very funny. The missing nin grouched, slowly dragging himself to a sitting position. Still feeling the senbon in his neck, he grasped the weapons and with a viscous yank that sent blood spraying everywhere, the two barbs were pulled free. Haku placed a gentle hand on Zabuza's shoulder. Please Zabuza-sama, please don't yank those out like that or you really will end up dead. Zabuza looked up at his apprentice's face, which was covered by the emotionless hunter mask. That mask had always irked the ex-Anbukiri nin not because of what it symbolized but that it was something that dredged up ghosts far gone and better left forgotten. He didn't waste time voicing his displeasure. Haku, take off that damn mask already will you? The young hunter nin nodded and pulled the mask off revealing a surprisingly beautiful face underneath. So what now Zabuza-sama? The teen was curious, just what were they going to do? Kakashi was a problem, but so were the two boys that were with him, and judging by the skill levels of the boys the girl was most likely skilled as well. For now, nothing. I need to get back to full strength. He growled, struggling to his feet. After that, we go and kill the bridge builder. Simple as that. What about the boy with Hyoten? Haku asked curious. If he had Hyoten then, maybe. I'll think of something. Haku could only nod and follow along with his plans. The two nin made their way back to their hideout, to heal, and plan. Kakashi's eyes flew wide and shot up from his futon startling everyone in the room. What was that feeling? Kakashi's hand shook as he placed it over his face in shock. I'm getting seriously bad vibes from this. Just why the hell does it feel like I'm missing something? I know Zabuza is dead. I felt his pulse. Wait. Kakashi-sensei, what's wrong? Naruto asked. Damn it. Kakashi sighed. Hunter nin are trained to destroy the bodies of the ones they kill on the spot. You got that feeling too? Naruto asked. Kakashi nodded making Naruto tisk in annoyance. Yeah, and Sakura asked confused where her sensei was going with this. What happened to Zabuza's body? Kakashi asked out of the blue. Sakura tilted her head questioningly. I don't know, the hunter nin took it away. Now why would a hunter nin who was taught to destroy a body on the spot move a body much larger than them? And on top of that, what did the hunter use to kill Zabuza? Sasuke thought a moment. Senbon, used for acupuncture. His eyes widened. No way. Way, Sasuke, Naruto grimaced. I had a feeling about it after Kakashi explained what a hunter was earlier, but I didn't think much of it until just now when Kakashi felt it too. Yeah, we fucked up. Kakashi sighed. It's highly likely that Zabuza is still alive. He trailed off as both Tazuna and Sakura gasped. But how? You checked yourself, Sakura said fearfully. Senbon Sakura, Senbon. Naruto sighed. Senbon, when used correctly can do any number of things. For someone of Hunter Nin's skill it's child's play putting someone in a death-like state. Kakashi nodded. What Naruto said is true. If Zabuza truly is alive we need to be on our toes until we can prove otherwise. Regardless, we still need to keep an eye out for any other people under Gato's employ. It's not like it matters anyway, a voice said. Everyone in the room turned to a young boy who was just walking in the door. Inari. Tsunami smiled. Where have you been all this time? Hey mom, I was out for a walk. He turned to Tazuna. Hey Gramps, welcome home. He walked over and gave the old man a hug. All in all it was a sickeningly cute display of affection. Well it would be if the little brat wasn't looking at the ninja in the room with an apathetic glare. Inari, these ninja protected your grandpa, please greet them properly, Tsunami chided. But mom, they're just gonna die, they can't beat Gato. Naruto snorted at that. Inari turned to him with a glare. What's so funny? He demanded. Naruto chuckled for a few seconds before breaking out into full-on laughter. What's so funny? He demanded again, this time with a harsh edge to his voice. You or kid? Naruto laughed, wiping a single tear from his eye. Before Inari could bitch Naruto cut him off. Kid, telling us that we're gonna die is like telling your gramps over there that he's gonna get a hangover from drinking too much. The only difference is we don't know when we'll die while your gramps knows damn well when he'll get a hangover, he laughed again. Kid, we're ninja, dying is a part of the job description. We are born and raised to fight, kill and die. For our friends, family and country. His grin turned into a bit of a glare, however, thinking we'll die to some little troll like Gato is insulting. That bastard doesn't have anything going for him but his money. From what your gramps has told us the dude is as short as you are. He has nothing to fight us with himself, he hires his power. Then, Inari began, suddenly feeling a bit out of his league in the argument. Nope. Wrong again, Naruto cut him off. We just came out of a battle with an A- class missing nin and arguably one of the best swordsmen in the elemental nations. If that big of a bastard can't kill this team, who do you think will? We're not gonna die that easily, kid. If you think that, then we can take this outside and I'll show you a thing or two about ninja. Inari had a look of shock on his face at how blatantly his beliefs had been thrown in his face. He grit his teeth in anger at Naruto, mentally cursing the blonde bastard. Who do you think you are? You have no right to come in here and talk that way to us. Do you have any idea how badly we've suffered under that bastard's rule? A ninja like you who probably has had it good all his life, what do you know? Oh. The rest of his words were cut off along with most of his air as a hand gripped his throat. It wasn't a tight grip, just enough to shut him up and hold him off the ground. Inari, Naruto. The people in the room yelled. Shut up and back off. Naruto growled at everyone in the room, his voice sounding slightly deeper as a bit of Kyuubi's chakra ran through his veins in anger. This kid needs a reality check. He tossed Inari on his ass. You want to know how? Good. He spat the word. My life was. The anger in his voice made Inari shake in fear. You have a family, a home, 3 square meals. He threw his hands around the room to point this fact out. Me, I'm an orphan. I didn't have any parents or family. I lived in an orphanage filled with spiteful people who would have seen me starve. I had to dig through trash and steal to even live. As for the villagers, nearly everyone in my village despises me. He spat a curse at a few choice people. For the first 7 years of my life I got glared at and ostracized by the very people I now protect. You want to call your life unfair? How about this? At 7 years old I was nearly murdered by the villagers I'm protecting, and it took me killing a dozen of them and nearly dying in the process to find someone who shared my lot in life. That woman took me in and I've been what you might call happy if you'd get your head out of you ass. Life sucks, kid. Get used to it and grow up. He flipped off the room and walked to the door. If any of you value your life, you'll stay the hell away. You too, Kakashi. I don't want to have to explain your death to Gigi. He slammed the door behind him. A few minutes of silence passed before what sounded like dozens of explosions and the loud snapping of trees broke the silence. Kakashi-sensei, is everything Naruto said true? Sakura whimpered a little bit as an angry yell ripped through the night while bits of what sounded like splinters hit the roof of the house. Kakashi sighed. Yes, Sakura. It was all true. His eye turned sad for a moment. Naruto's younger years were quite bad, honestly. There was never really anything physical. Aside from that, the villagers have done everything they can to destroy him. His life hasn't been. Everyone in the room jumped when a piece of tree impaled itself in the front door. Good. Kakashi finished, sighing once again before laying back in his bed. The third had said that Naruto was a tad touchy when it came to his early years, but this. Best to give the boy time to work of his frustration, else he'd find a hole somewhere he didn't want it from the collateral damage. Another explosion rocked the night. Yeah, give him a day or two. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.